At Maximus, we are focused on driving continuous innovation to deliver impactful outcomes for our customers and the people they serve. Integrating experience and domain expertise with AI-enabled technologies, our solutions enhance efficiencies, reduce costs, and empower data-driven decision-making. With Maximus, agencies achieve resilient operations that can adapt, scale, and evolve to meet their changing customer and mission needs. We are dedicated to building a smarter, more efficient future that moves people, technology, and government forward. Learn more at maximus.com/federal.
I feel very lucky basically every single day to have such an amazing role at this important time and in an agency that's leaning forward on AI. My background, I feel a little sheepish going through all of it, but I will do so because I think it's really important to tell the story of civil servants and how they are trying to lean forward and work with colleagues really across the country to advance our mission.
Welcome to AI GovCast. I'm Sylvia Oakland, staff reporter at GovCIO Media and Research. You just heard from Michael Boyce, the director of the Department of Homeland Security's AI Corps. In the early months of 2024, DHS announced a first-of-its-kind initiative, a hiring sprint to get the best AI talent into DHS. As the director, Boyce is tasked with leading the largest AI team created in response to the national AI talent surge launched by President Biden's Executive Order 14110. His interest in AI began early. In high school, he was a finalist in the New York City Science and Engineer Fair for a project that trained a neural network to find Waldo from the well-known Where's Waldo picture book series. Prior to leading the Digital Services Inspired team, Boyce spent time in the White House Office of Management and Budget. He worked as a senior policy analyst focusing on FedRAMP and AI policy, including the 2023 AI Executive Order.
More recently, I went to the White House in the Office of Management and Budget, where I worked on the AI Executive Order, the recent Office of Management and Budget Memo 2410 about artificial intelligence, and had a brief stint as well that was very interesting on the budget side of OMB, where I got to look at that whole process. After that, I really wanted to come back and manage, and I was very interested in artificial intelligence. I was very interested in the way that it can be applied to help improve the work of how we deliver for the American public. And so when I was given this offer to lead what I believe is the largest civilian AI team in the federal government, of course I said yes. And just for that context, the AI Corps that I'm now in charge of was an initiative announced by the Secretary back in February to bring on 50 AI experts into the federal government. And we've been making tremendous progress. I think as of this Monday, I have 31 people on board on the team. We received over 14,000 applications. It's been an incredibly selective process. And so at this moment, artificial intelligence and a department that's leaning forward on this, it's been really a true honor to come back and be able to really think about how we can deploy and use artificial intelligence to advance the Homeland Security mission.
Filling the 50 positions within the 10-month time frame looked like a daunting task at first. Teamwork across DHS has been crucial. Boyce estimated roughly 60 additional employees across the DHS enterprise played a critical role in the hiring process. The team also leaned into strategies that will make for a diverse workforce, hiring expert talent from the public and private sector, and ensuring plain language job titles.
I think that there's a few core things that we've done that I'm particularly proud of. One is we both want to hire people from the private sector and industry, which we have, as well as also elevate those career civil servants who've done amazing AI work in the departments and now want to continue to focus on that area and really can benefit the department's mission. And so I don't have the exact statistics, but we've been able to hire from both of those areas. Critical to that, though, was how we posted and did our processing for these positions. I encourage my colleagues, consistent actually with the recent OMB and OPM joint memo 2416, to lean into plain language job titles or position postings on USA Jobs. So we had a position called Artificial Technology Expert. And within that posting, we talked about titles that people from across the industry would understand. Staff software engineer, staff machine learning engineer, staff designer. And so what someone would do is they'd go to our posting. It'd be clear when they search USA Jobs, it'd be something that they understand from industry. They would start to apply, and then they would actually be asked, what is your specialization? Which of these sort of sub roles are you most interested in? When they would apply, that would then get shipped out to our HR colleagues who would be able to review those applications to assess sort of qualification. And then it would go to subject matter experts. And we're a big believer in the subject matter expert involvement. We had 2 rounds of resume review and then usually 2 rounds of interviews to make these determinations on these folks. It did take a lot of work, but I think anyone who's been a manager in the federal government knows that the work you put to hire the most talented people is the most critical work you can possibly do. And so that process, again, has taken a lot of man hours and a lot of effort. But at this point, I think it's pretty streamlined and pretty refined. And in fact, we've been able to include folks now that I have my team in that process to help further reduce the burden for additional hires and additional processing from some of our key partners who helped us stand this up initially. I really do hope it's a model that other folks can apply. And I've always standing by. I mean, we're in touch with a number of my agencies from across the government who are interested in leveraging similar sort of techniques, and we're always standing by to try to collaborate and share what we've done and things that have worked for us.
Boyce and his team have 3 strategic focus areas right now: implementing AI within DHS missions, scaling AI adoption, and an incubator. The first focus area, implementation, allows the AI core to act as an internal consultancy. Boyce said cross-functional teams will partner with one another to make sure responsible, effective, and scalable AI solutions are being used.
I have one of the largest AI-focused teams in the federal government, but even when we're fully staffed at 50 people, that is not enough to build and create all of the artificial intelligence that the department would need to help facilitate our mission. So everything that we're doing is in partnership, and I think a critical mass of what we'll be doing will be partnering with DHS's components to help them implement AI.
The second area Boyce and the AI core are focusing on is scaling AI adoption. In this area, the team looks at the larger impact of AI on DHS.
Right now, we have folks looking at continuing to improve, looking at how we can continue to improve our testing and evaluation strategies across the entire department. It also includes other really cross-cutting things like making sure that we're implementing all of the recent White House guidance on these ambitious timelines that they've set for us to do so.
The third area is what Boyce called the incubator. This incubator is more than a sandbox, according to Boyce. It is a place for the team to have fun, but in an impactful and mission-focused way. Boyce and his team want to develop real proof of concepts, North Stars, the art of the possible, to help drive AI components at DHS forward.
You know, maybe we have a policy idea that we want to, that we think would be helpful with AI. Well, what is our space to get that feedback cycle? You know, a new way we want to test and evaluate. How can we do that? And so I think we're thinking about how we set up kind of a testing. Everyone's talking about sandboxes, but I think this goes a little bit further even than a sandbox. It's a team dedicated to proving out some of these ideas and trying to take on some of those longer range, more moonshotty kind of ideas that we want to do across the department. So again, there's sort of 3 legs of the stool. It's that kind of implementing AI, roaming consultancy, partnering with our components being helpful. It's looking at how we scale AI across the department from a policy, from a responsible use of AI perspective, and also I'm sure from a technical perspective as well. And then finally, it's this incubator approach where we will have some sort of reserved capacity to really push forward the boundaries of what's possible.
Like what you're hearing so far? Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to rate and review us. More reviews means more stories that matter to you. Now, back to the show.
With the advances in artificial intelligence and certainly generative AI and these other types of tools and technologies, there's a lot more, it in some ways democratizes and eases the ability for people to leverage AI technologies for real solutions.
DHS, like many agencies, has been using AI for years. Generative AI, or Gen AI, however, as Boyce mentioned, has been growing in popularity. Not much is known about generative AI, though. Boyce and the AI core are bolstering the DHS workforce with the additional AI knowledge they need. He credited the work the core has accomplished in this short time to the partnerships they've built.
I don't think our role is to introduce AI to the department. Many of my colleagues across the components have done incredible work in AI. And so what we are really here to do is to partner with them and help them further accelerate that work. Of course, while also helping to ensure that we're protecting privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties, and all of these key priorities. A really critical project I think about has been with our Homeland Security investigation team, where someone on my team worked really closely with them to do a generative AI pilot that actually helps us leverage generative AI to find critical records and information in our investigative systems. There's many people who are constantly looking through unstructured data and unstructured documentation, and generative AI actually gives us the ability now, again, implemented responsibly, to be able to find and identify information that normally would have to go through a much more manual process that's actually probably more error prone and a little bit harder to get to the bottom of. He's also done incredible work in that role in testing and evaluating the solution.
The AI Core has worked closely with the Supply Chain Resiliency Center to examine potential solutions to better understand and predict the supply chain.
It's been a really incredible project as well that we've started to engage in. I would also say a key piece of our strategy when we go back to that scaling AI is we've been also embedding with a lot of our component chief AI officers to help make sure, of course, that we are implementing all of these sort of critical policies and procedures.
As Boyce and his team continue to hire the remaining AI Core members, he doesn't think the interest in AI will fade. In fact, Boyce wants the AI Core to push the boundary of what people think AI is capable of. He pointed out the powerful ability AI has to analyze and manipulate text. Strong testing and evaluation will be critical to ensure the technology works the way it's expected to.
I actually think there's even more that as we start to implement and start to make it real for folks, they'll start to have even more ideas and more places of where this can help to actually be really practical and mission focused. But folks focus a lot on automation, on decision making. I don't see those as really being the types of use cases that we plan to, especially with generative AI, leverage these technologies for. In many cases, I see it as that extra pair of eyes that's checking something that you're doing. Maybe you have an employee who's has to review lots and lots of documents to look for certain red flags or to route it to a particular other office for sort of secondary review. I see these technologies as really helping in that space, as well as, hey, did you check this? Did you check this? Did you notice this line? I think there's a lot of those types of use cases that occur all across the government, and we'll continue to have humans reviewing it.
Boyce and his team joked about the position of the AI Core, a startup in both the good and bad ways. He chooses to focus on the good, the energy and passion from his team, the future opportunity of the AI Core, and what the next 6 months and beyond have in store for them.
I think the majority of my team has been on for less than 2 months at this point. And so a lot of what we are doing is really getting started. And so part of it is I'm trying to work with my team really collaboratively to define those longer North Stars. And I think we know what some of those are. It's to, from a high level, it's to advance the Homeland Security mission while ensuring that we protect, privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. And we've defined some of our key focus areas, those 3 areas I was talking about earlier. I think that there's the broader vision is of what the department looks like in 2 to 3 years or 5 years. I think that there's different avenues that could take. And I think I tend to kind of my own sort of background, having worked with or for sort of digital service organizations, is I really like to see that picture come through almost like an iterative process. If you think of the AI Core as its own product, sort of taking an iterative approach to implementation and through next steps. I think what we are clearly focused on right now, again, are those 3 areas, and really using implementation as a way to also drive policy, to drive how we think about the organization and have that kind of virtuous feedback and virtuous cycle. But what that means and what that looks like in 3 to 5 years, I think I'm still learning that. And again, I hope in 6 months from now too, we'll have a few more specifics of kind of what we think that looks like through kind of the collaborative process that my team is already engaged on and talking about frequently.
In late October, DHS released a fact sheet detailing the agency's accomplishments since President Biden's AI executive order. You can read more about the AI Core accomplishments and the overall progress DHS has made with the link in our show notes. Thanks for listening to this episode of AI GovCast from GovCIO Media and Research. We keep federal IT decision makers informed on technology's impact on government. Interested in learning more about AI? Be sure to listen to all our AI GovCast episodes and check out all of our AI coverage at govciomedia.com.